Welcome back, Alpha Hunters. It is a very finisher Friday here today on the markets, and we are going to figure out what we should prepare for. Should we be buying this dip that we've gotten, or is this a great time to kind of be bearish and maybe sell out of positions? And understand, I could make the case for both. I absolutely could. Just understand whichever way you kind of justify your rationale. You could actually take positions on both ways and just, if it goes one direction, you just cut your losses on the other. But that would be the thing I would say. If you are going to go bullish, just have your stop loss. And if we do break down, you probably just flip your position, go bearish. If we go bearish, or if you're expecting to go bearish, set a stop loss and in the bullish direction. And if we break bullish, then maybe you flip your position. My personal kind of outtake or outlook here is even if we do go bullish, maybe we make a run back up to all-time highs. I don't think it'll be long lasting. I don't think it would be like huge upside, and I think the downside would eventually be coming later on. So, anyways, we'll take a look at some scenarios, but let's talk about what's going on in the market today. Very nice gap up here yesterday, or I'm sorry, today, up 1.25% here on the gap up roughly. Nice little pullback at the start, nice little pump, and then we kind of had like an hour-long pullback there, roughly in that second hour of the day. And then we had a very slow grind, kind of towards the highs of the day, and that's about it. Like we're not really doing a whole lot. So there you go. That's kind of what is going on there on the market on the SP 500. Qs are basically flat, and for all the talk about obviously how bullish the market looks today, the Qs are up 2%. But it's all mostly the gap. Like 90% of it's the gap. How much did we gap up here? We're up 2% right now, and we gapped up 1.75. So yeah, about 90% of the gap here is coming from, or 90% of the day's performance is coming from the gap. We gapped up almost 1.8% on the Q. So you're not really seeing strong follow through intraday buying. So I'll be curious to see how maybe we react towards the end of day today. I don't expect much in the way of price action in the market here in the last 2 hours. I think for the most part we've seen some pretty good volatility, especially since we got to Wednesday, Fed Day, and then yesterday was a kind of volatile day as well. And then, obviously today with a nice little gap up. I think the market's kind of just gonna like, hey, we're gonna head out today. So I don't expect much by the end of the day today. Probably gonna be pretty flat. And I'll be curious to see what happens when we come in on Monday. That will be what does the market start to do? Whoops, didn't mean to go to daily yet. What does the market start to do early next week? Nice gap up here on the IWM. Kind of a squirrely there start. Nice little drop, pump, and then we kind of dropped, and we're kind of just been hanging out at the daily lows for the most part over the past several hours. Okay, DIA kind of looks like the Qs drop, pump, drop, and then a slow grind back towards the highs of the day. Not quite there. RSP, same deal as the Qs and SPY. A little bit of a squirrely first five, pump, drop, slow grind higher. Currently up 0.7% there on the RSP. Not getting above Monday's high. But if you do want to, look on a weekly, nice lower wick there. I do like that bullishness on the weekly. That does look quite interesting. Okay, so that's kind of what I was talking about on the beginning part of the live stream. Is I can make the case to go either direction. I really could, bullish or bearish, and across a lot of these ETFs. But you just put your stop loss in place. And, you could even do both directions, right? You can play it both directions, and hey, whichever way the market breaks, you just take, you just have your stop loss on one direction. So if you're going bullish, right? If you're going bullish, say you go bullish above these highs, you go bearish. Maybe also the same level, right? Maybe also the same level, but you can kind of play a bracket, something like that, have stop losses maybe down here if you go bullish, right? And down here around 160. And if you go bearish, maybe you set a stop loss maybe up here, maybe up above the candle of April 10th or April 9th, kind of like that, a little bit looser. So something like that, right? So you got an entry kind of where we probably currently would be. And you got a stop loss down here below the wick of yesterday. I think that would be a pretty good spot to say, hey, you know what? If we break that, I don't think without a doubt like we're going to be going lower. I don't even think this level would matter at that point. So, but yeah, I think you could probably have a stop loss up here. You can maybe even make it a little bit tighter, maybe down here or something like that, halfway through that lower wick or that hammer candle from April 9th, something like that. Disregard. Let's say disregard that one. So there you go. You got a pretty even kind of split there if you're getting in maybe like right here, right now, something like that. So anyways, I mean, that's just an idea. Just an idea. Anyways, just something that, because I mean, we did get a pretty good quick snap down pullback here in April, but with how quick it was, I mean, it could just be a retest higher and then we're going lower. We are still having some issues getting above this kind of support and resistance level here, and so yeah, it's not exactly the easiest spot to go bullish. I like this gap on DIA, gapping above the highs that we had last week. That looks pretty good. I like how we gapped above it and actually retested into that high. Nice. It's actually not bad. Okay. IWM. Nice gap up here on the IWM. Up 1% right now. You can see we've actually sold down pretty good amount from the open. Probably a little bit more than some of the other ETFs here, but okay. Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty good support level, resistance level. I think getting through this one, getting above this zone, which is where it failed kind of like 2 different days back on Monday and Wednesday. It kind of failed as it got into this area. But the fact that it gapped above it and sold down to it, yeah, maybe another day to kind of take on that one. Maybe we'll see what happens there early next week. Yeah, Q's had a solid gap up today. Obviously, AAPL earnings, we'll get into that here in just a sec. But nice gap to these levels, right into these lows, and that's where she sits right now. SPY also kind of getting up into that level. All right, so that's kind of how it goes today. AAPL. Let's talk about AAPL earnings just real quick. So it's kind of mixed in my opinion. They did beat on revenue. Services grew. iPad revenue didn't. iPhone revenue didn't. Mac revenue did grow. Wearables did not grow. Revenue actually declined. So yeah, it's kind of mixed. But the really big issue is Apple, like the iPhone and the wearables. That is how people kind of stay involved in the ecosystem. And once you get into the ecosystem, they make more money on the services side. So if they're not continuing to kind of grow the iPhone area, that to me can present issues down the line because you're not going to be growing in the services area, which is high margin type of area of business. So anyways, AAPL, nice gap up here, but I did put out a tweet this morning basically saying, hey, is this going to be an opportunity to sell Apple? And I was like, yes, absolutely. Yes, it is, because it's nice. I mean, it's a nice gap up. When you were sitting down here for the past 2 months, I mean, you were probably just hoping it got back above it. So, anyways, AAPL, yeah, take some off the table. take it off. Microsoft. And Apple, and let me hit on this point. So we know in about a month, Apple's going to have their AI event or whatever it is, or procedural generation or whatever they're going to show off. Apple could stay somewhat relatively strong. I'm not expecting a whole lot of bearishness, or maybe even a whole lot of bullishness until we get to that event. I think once we get to that event, I think it's going to be a sell event when we get to it. I couldn't think of any. I can't really think of anything on what they do to improve procedural generation that's kind of not already out there. And obviously, they're going to do things and show things off that are catered towards iPhone, and their ecosystem. And that's going to be the question mark. What is that thing that they're going to show off? So, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, but that's just my opinion. VIX continues to drop off from the first half of April. Okay. Basically getting down to where we opened April at. All right. VIX coming down. Dollar. Okay, I saw this morning. Let's talk about some other data that we got today. Besides Apple earnings affecting the market today, we got non-farms payrolls, which came in pretty low. Okay. So this is kind of where we are in the market now. The market has been pressured so much by higher dollar and higher yields, and we'll get into yields in a sec. But non-farms payroll came in at 167. Hold on, that's private. Non-farm payrolls came in at 175,000. The forecast was calling for 243. So that's a miss of about 70,000. Dang, that is a lot. That's a little bit over a third. So, yeah, that's a brutal one. And the prior month was 315,000. The unemployment rate we also got this morning was 3.9%. The previous 3 months we've gotten it was 3.8%. The forecast was calling for 3.8%, but yet we did get it at 3.9%. So we got higher unemployment, not as much hiring. So that kind of makes sense, right? We didn't have as much hiring, so we have more unemployment. And the fact that the dollar and yields are dropping and the market is responding very bullishly to that is not exactly a great thing, right? Because now you're in a situation where the market is trying to say, okay, yields coming down is a good thing, but you have bad economic data. Bad economic data is now saying that yields, which have been putting pressure on the market, are relieving that pressure. But if the economy continues to deteriorate, then the market is going to be hugely oppositioned. And this, right, this is the thing that we've been talking about. Like, yields are going to continue to put pressure and constraints on the market. And then once that unemployment starts to grow, then we will start to see the economy really suffer, and then that will obviously impact the stock market. So we'll see, obviously, next month how that goes. But the yields are bouncing. I mean, dollar's bouncing back pretty good. I mean, we did break down, but right now we're sitting right on top of this double high. We did break down, and obviously we bounced. Currently, how to look intraday. You can see where we got the data dropped off and bounced all the way back, and that's kind of where we sit, right on top of that double high that we had across February and March. Gold, which is basically flat, just kind of hanging out, not really doing a whole lot. You would think gold would be up. I think gold is just in a consolidation area from its move that it's already had over the past 2 months, previous 2 months. So, yeah, I would just continue to be a buyer. I think we'll get a nice little consolidation. We'll probably have a pretty good run towards the second half of the year. Yields, 10-year yield, like dollar, had a pretty good drop off today. It hasn't held up as strong from the bounce, right? We did drop off. We got the bounce on the yields, but it has come down quite a bit, a little bit more than the DXY. As far as yields go, kind of at the lower end of this channel. So we'll see kind of what happens early this next week. 30-year doesn't even look that bad yet. It really doesn't. It doesn't look that bad. Obviously we broke this uptrend, but we have another kind of uptrend right here that we're going to get really close to here pretty soon. We kind of got close to it today, so yeah. I mean, if yields start to bounce and rally early next week after a pretty good breakdown day today, and won't be looking too fantastic there. 10 and 2 inversion, huge upper wick there. Yeah, we probably just had some volatility across the yield curve this morning, but coming down currently a little bit. HYG, nice little gap up, kind of doji action there. Okay. LQD also gap up. Got really, really close into these lows here. So, yeah, pretty close to those lows. I wouldn't be looking for a whole lot of upside there on the LQD. Maybe not even the TLT either, but I mean, I can understand going a little bit higher. Okay. All right. So that's how that's looking, how yields are looking. Let's take a look at sector performance. So yeah, we know we got pretty good gaps today. XLK makes sense. Apple, pretty large gap up today, and it has leading the market. XLK. So everything else is kind of underperforming. That's mostly because tech is the largest weighting, so it's helping lift up the market more than everything else. Materials, communications, discretionaries, industrials, real estate, utilities, financials, healthcare, staples. They're all doing pretty good. Just underperforming on the day. And then you got energies, which are actually negative. So rough. During the day, this is how things look during the day. Okay. So tech is still outperforming during the day. Staples looking pretty good. Materials, industrials, communications, kind of in line with the market there. Financials, healthcare, energies, kind of in line with the market there. So energies had a pretty good gap down today. That's what's hitting them so hard. Utilities, discretionary, and so yeah, not exactly a great day there for real estate. But let's take a look at energy since they seem to not be going with the market. Yeah, we know real estate had a pretty good breakdown here on Monday, or not Monday, Wednesday, the first day of May. But continuing it further down, gasoline also breaking down. Heating oil, which has been underperforming quite a bit, seems like it's not going to be breaking down as much. I mean, this thing has not been performing well over the past couple of months. So, all right. So there's heating oil. And then that's about it for me. Let's take a look at, or as far as like the normal rundown, let's see what Microsoft, nice gap up and run, up 2.2%. Nice, looking pretty good there. Alphabet, a little bit of gap up. Nice little lower wick. Checked into the 10 EMA on a daily. Look at that, kissed right off of that thing and bounced. Basically just under the neutral line. Barely. And what do we got? Meta has finally climbed back to the 10 EMA. All right. So, Meta. All right. Amazon up a little bit today. Nice little doji action. Currently up 1%. How's Tesla doing? Tesla up 0.8%. Okay. Tesla up 0.8%. A little bit of a gap up. Not really doing too much there today. How's NVIDIA doing today? Ooh, NVIDIA looking pretty good here. NVIDIA's looking pretty good. Nice gap up. Currently up 4%. That's crazy. Oh, NVIDIA's up 4% today. AMD's up 2.9%. Let me check. It is up. AMD, AVGO. I know AVGO did not have earnings because it's not their time yet. But they're up 3.5%. So what? What is the deal? Arista Networks, they're gonna have earnings next week, up almost 6%. Okay. What is Amgen's up pretty good? Take a look at that real quick. AMGN earnings. Crush City. They actually didn't even meet revenue. They missed it a little bit, but they beat bottom line. Yeah, I'd be very curious. Let's see. I'm gonna check the main headlines here. After soft jobs report. Yeah, why is it soft and why is the market rallying? Well, we know why. DJ buy, yep. Tech platforms pitch ad deals as TikTok is ruled by politics. Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot there. So, okay, Amgen, what is your deal? Amgen is maintained and outperformed by RBC Capital. So they also looks like they got some confirmation of the kind of ratings. U.S. equity index jumps. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Obesity drug. Obesity. What kind of obesity drug? They're not the ones that make. What's the other one? Which beat earnings. Prolia. Prolia came in at 999 million, driven by volume growth. Prolia sales beat Zacks estimates of 997 million. So it looks like maybe it's this. Maybe it's these two. I mean, stock up on obesity drug update. So I think maybe it's this Eventi or Repatha. Maybe it's Perlia, but I mean, I wouldn't think so. Anyways, Amgen crushing. All these pharmaceutical drugs, if they got a good and decent weight loss drug or diabetic type drug out there, they are rocking and rolling right now, man. They are crushing life. Amen. So, what is going on with semiconductors? I'm not seeing anything on earnings. LRCX. Okay, we can. I need to see what we can find here on semiconductors. The market dodges another downfall. Everything's awesome. Analysts are bullish while Reddit user predicts Nvidia will drop to 800. Drop to 8. Well, what's Nvidia at now? Nvidia's at 890. I mean, if it drops drops 10%, that's like 2 days worth of bullish activity. That's not even a big deal. It is a big deal, but benchmark adjustment. So AMD got a little bit of a downgrade yesterday. Yeah, what is the deal? Payrolls miss, wages rise less than expected. Streamline, GeForce Now, and anticipate Xbox. Oh, okay, I don't. That's not what really matter. I don't. Taiwan Semi, maybe. Nope. I don't. Sorry, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Is it K-Lag? Is one of the European guys? ASML. No, I don't know what's going on with semis. They're just everybody's on semis today. There's probably just like an upgrade across the sector. Maybe something came out about Amazon or Apple from their earnings that has continued follow through to the upside. Excuse me, look, give me a sec. All right. Other than that, yeah, we're seeing some pretty good action in tech world. Obviously, we got tech, manufacturing equipment doing pretty good. Industrials don't seem to be too bad. Cat, Deere, GE. What is this? ETN. ETN. Electrical products. Okay. I like the stock chart. It looks pretty good. And then, other than that, though, I think I'm mostly good. I'm going to be really curious to see, one, how we end today, and two, how we start next week, especially on the yield side, because we didn't just, we haven't just dropped off and just holding lower. Like, we had a pretty solid bounce, at least on yields. Dollars actually held the bounce pretty good. And I'm not sure when we get the next inflation report, because that will probably be the next big thing. Let me go to next week, is the inflation report. Book, nothing there on inflation, so that's Tuesday. Let me go to Monday. Yeah, nothing there. Nothing there on Wednesday. Thursday, initial jobless claims. Okay, Friday, nothing. So we don't really get inflation data next week. That's what I noticed. And so, yeah, if we're not on inflation data, we don't get inflation data like next week. I wouldn't be surprised if market has somewhat of a bullish week next week. Wouldn't be surprised at all. The thing is next time we get inflation data, and this is what I was going to mention about inflation. Next time we get inflation data, if it comes in like we're still like inflation is still climbing higher with the jobs report that we just got, that's going to be a really tough one for the market to kind of digest and try to take that bullish. That would be tough. So I'd imagine there's going to be some inflation data next week. I just don't know how, it didn't look like it was major stuff. Or it might not have been on the calendar either, or at least not on the TradingView calendar. So if we get to next week, maybe on Monday, we'll take a look at that again, because it should definitely be on the calendar by Monday. But Alpha Hunters, that's what I'll be watching next week. See if we get any inflation data. So we'll check that on Monday. But yeah, next time we get inflation data, if it comes in as inflation still rising, even if it's a little bit, that is going to be really a tough one for the market. Because basically what the market was hoping for today with the jobs data that we got is they're now really hoping that, okay, maybe we can get back to talking about cuts coming in the second half of the year. And if inflation keeps going higher, they're not going to talk about cuts, right? They're not. So Anyways, Outrunners, y'all have a great weekend. Take care, and we'll see what we get next week. But most of the big tech earnings is also done. And really, over the past 2 weeks, we had a slight uptrend during that time period. So they did at least stop the bleeding that we had going into big tech earnings. Outrunners, have a great weekend. Take care.